We're here at the FICC 2025, live from Berlin. I'm here with Xisen Wang. Hi Xisen, how are you?
Hi, I'm doing well.
Tell me a bit about your academic journey.
Yeah, sure. So I'm Xisen. I'm a third-year engineering student at the University of Oxford. I submitted a paper at FICC, and I'm very glad that I'm now in Berlin joining the conference. The paper is roughly about using LLM agents to basically automate machine learning, which is actually a large focus of my sort of previous endeavors, where I was working in Microsoft Research Asia for RD agents, which is also sort of trying to use multi-agentic frameworks to automate research and data science. I've also done a couple of similar things in a variety of places, but my sort of focus is on how to, I guess, explore the boundary of systems intelligence and multi-agent frameworks.
Okay, tell me about the paper.
Great. I guess essentially what I observe is that right now, especially after the burst of, I guess, GPT 3.5, we see that the AI market is boosting, right? And then there's so much changes in the productivity market and everything. But the problem is, from what I realize, there are still many people who don't enjoy the same benefit as people who are in the industry like us. In a way that what we know is that even in markets of great productivity, say like EU markets, only around 24% of business leaders say that they are great at data, say that they're data literate, not to mention that they're good at machine learning models. But from what we know, right, training a machine learning model is not that hard anymore. But that does not match the current status quo of me as a business owner. It's still very hard for me to train a machine learning model by myself. And that sort of constitutes the whole problem of how do we actually bridge the gap between, I guess, this side of good AI market and this side of people who don't enjoy the benefits. And the core methodology that we use is something we coin the term of a text-to-model approach, in a way that if people just express their demand vaguely, saying that, okay, I want to predict something, and then give us the data, we have the whole entire pipeline of variety of agents, starting from data handling to doing data exploratory analysis, to actually then investigate the model's architecture, build the model, train the model, write the inference code, and then interpret the model, visualize the results, and then tell you exactly how do you use the model and everything from the report to the code, all by just one, basically one text demand and then one as file of data. So this is essentially the methodology that we're presenting here.
Okay, so you've wrote a paper. Have you tested it out as well?
Yes, we did. So we've done some good case studies, but apart from that, we also tested 10 lightweight data sets ranging from car retail sales to predicting students' performance, etc. That's because the sort of idea that we are giving is that we are not sort of limiting to the high-end sort of things, that we are that focused on how do we build a fancy model architecture. No, instead what we are focused in, where we are focused at is basically that we have a variety of data applications, so that it is representative of I guess the current society of I guess from the day-to-day life. And then what we show is that the model would actually have an average of an MSE, which is basically the error rate of less than a quarter, which means that say if I have data, right, I have thousands of rows of predicting the price of a car, and then with what we call as the agent for machine learning, A for ML, now you will have a model that will predict the price of a car within an error rate of 1 quarter. I know that this is not that good for industries of high accuracy expectations, but it's definitely a good starting point and shows a lot of potential, because there could be optimizations on the architecture and everything.
Is there room for improvement?
Definitely, right? So I would say that it mainly comes down to 2 points. One is on stability and hallucination-related problems, and that is because what we see now is that although AI agents, they are smart, they also lie a lot in a way that they're smart in a not usual way. So okay, let me just give you an example. There's just one time when the agent needs to actually reevaluate its own model because the model accuracy is not that high. Instead of just showing us the original model accuracy, what it does is that it actually fabricates another small testing result and then does evaluation on that result, so that the accuracy is much higher, which means that the AI model is actually now cheating on us. So I guess that's one definitely concern on the stability and hallucination problems, which is also why which is also part of the things I'm working now on hallucination mitigation and hallucination reduction. And the second thing is definitely on how to tackle more complicated problems, so that it needs more dependencies, it runs on GPUs and etc. And that involves a more more complicated architecture. And also I guess it also relies on the improvements of the performances of the fundamental models as well.
Okay, and how long will it be for, say, a small business owner can actually use this model?
Well, I would say that it really depends on which sort of industry you are in, because different industries have different tolerance on the accuracy.
Okay.
And I would say that it shouldn't be too far. I would say that within 1 or 2 years, with people, I guess not only in the research side of things, but also in the industry, with people now working on this, trying to make it better, trying to reduce hallucination problems, it should be much more accessible within the time frame of like 1 or 2 years.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Now you've been here at the conference. How has it been so far?
How it's been so far? I guess 2 points. First is that this is my very first time to come to Berlin in Germany, and especially with the boat trip yesterday, with the river cruise and everything.
Yeah.
I guess it has been great to explore the vibes and culture here. But the second thing is also that I've met with so many great minds. I've listened and also reached out to the keynote speakers yesterday. And secondly, apart from the culture and Berlin and Germany itself, the people that I met in the conference are absolutely brilliant. In a way that I reached out to the keynote speaker yesterday, telling us about emotional intelligence AI, and I really liked about it. Apart from that, I was also meeting with, I guess, people from like diverse areas of the world. I met with people from Switzerland, I met with people, I guess like from UK as me, but also there are like people from Germany, people from the United States, and etc. And I see that people from the world are like tackling AI in their different perspectives, and it has been such a great opportunity to actually not only present what I'm doing, but also get to understand what others are doing, so that the communications are really like, I guess, meaningful in terms of like, okay, what should be the next area of interest? What should be the next focus? What are the directions that people are like, focusing on right now? So basically,
That's what a conference should be about.
Definitely.
I'll finish this talk with a couple of rapid-fire questions.
Sure.
What's an important skill for a researcher to have?
Important skill. I would say that nowadays, especially under this AI age, there are changes in the skill sets required for researchers. And in particular, I would say that one thing that's really important right now is how to stick to academic rigor. By saying to sticking to academic rigor, what I mean is that a lot of times when we do research, we are building on the existing landscape, right? So we understand what others are doing right now, and then we build like a tiny thing out of things, so that we bridge like one small gap. And I guess, especially right now, when information, like when I guess it's very easy to generate things, right?
Yeah.
AI could generate things is very easily, and then we are sort of overwhelmed by information right now. So I would say, like, as researchers, because we are trained to actually tackle things more rigorously, it's important for us to understand what are the limitations, how to do things that could be tested, and how to do things that could be replicated, and etc. So I would say that having an idea of what to research on and having an innovative mindset is definitely important. But on the other side, I guess less people are talking about how we should still stick to the rigor, especially when now generation becomes so easy. I guess this is also something that I'm also working on. Working hard as well, because it's a lifelong lesson, trying to stick to academic rigor.
Academic rigor it is. Okay. Which industry will be most transformed by AI in the upcoming 5 years?
I would say that I guess different person have different ideas on this, but my take would be on the productivity market.
Yep.
And by saying the productivity market, what I mean is that imagine right now we have emails, we have calendars, we have to-dos, a variety of things.
Plenty of those.
Exactly, right. So we communicate with each others in workspace and etc. But although there is ChatGPT, all of these things that I was mentioning, right, they are still largely not touched in a way that they're still not really optimized. When we receive 200 emails, right, you don't have like one-click thing for an AI analyst to just like sort things out for you and then even help you reply. This is actually something that I'm working on right now as well. I have a startup called Pulse, in a way that we're building a general personal executive assistant. I'm trying to actually automate tasks and do things for them.
But personal AI.
Exactly, because what I think is that everyone deserves an AI secretary in this age, and that's a huge productivity boosting.
Okay. What do you think? Artificial intelligence or human intelligence?
In what context are we talking about them here?
Up to you.
Artificial intelligence versus human intelligence. I would say that as someone, right, who was just learning about artificial intelligence in around 2019 when I was in a competition, and then we were just basically talking about how to use convolutional neural networks, CNNs, very, very popular right now, but it's actually very popular back then as well, trying to see how we can like detect lost children from public cameras. I would say that the idea of artificial intelligence is less about, I guess, replacing human intelligence, but actually how to co-evolve with human intelligence. And yeah, exactly. So like that's the term that I'm putting in here, in a way that it is definitely amazing, right? To actually see basically machines learn by itself. But with that, I guess for us humans, as we live, in a society, we connect with people. I guess the next biggest lesson would be how do we co-evolve with artificial intelligence. So it's less for me about how do you distinguish from one another, but more about what will be the next paradigm of interactions.
Okay. Is there a book or a resource you'd recommend for people who are interested in your field?
Book or research that I recommend. I would say that there might be two things really. One thing could be the RD agent paper. I mean, it's actually not really a paper, but it's like a project of basically having two agents, one for research and one for development, done in micro research. Because I was initially involved with it, and I could see the impacts of it. Also having this ideology of like replacing or like automating data science tasks, and I think that is important. But beyond that, I guess especially in the multi-agent field, it's actually less about books, but more about actually seeing the updates from the industry and also from the academy definitely as well. So it's, I guess, good to actually sometimes hearing about some important broadcast and also exactly, and also like even Twitters, because sometimes a lot of important updates come from them, and etc.
Okay, Xisen, thank you so much for your time and enjoy the rest of the conference.
Thank you so much.